I am declaring that the AL Central is officially open again. Unfortunately, that 11.5 game lead that the Detroit Tigers had at the All-Star break that I thought was impossible to blow is now, that conversation is now open to be had, because the way that the Tigers are playing right now is honestly disgusting. Yesterday, they lose a series against this Minnesota Twins AAA team, essentially. This team got rid of everyone at the deadline. 10 of 26 guys on the active roster shipped out. You've got their best hitter in Byron Buxton on IL. This Twins team is garbage. And somehow the Tigers ended up losing 2 of 3 games to them at home. I don't understand how anyone can look at this Tigers team and feel comfortable with this lead that they have in the AL Central anymore. 6 games they lead over Cleveland. And as a reminder, 1 year ago today, this Tigers team was 12.5 games out. It wasn't like they were a few games back and had this nice little run. No, they were 12.5 games out and won the division. The Tigers are 6 games up right now, and somehow this Cleveland team that before the season even started decided they were going to be sellers at the deadline is knocking on the door 4 games over 500. I really wish that we were sitting here talking about how what the next series is going to look like. All the new guys from the deadline, improving this team. It's a World Series contender. But unfortunately, this Tigers team is far from that right now. They are 7-12 since the All-Star break. Right now, they have a 93.6% chance to win the division according to Fangraphs. And this was something we were checking every day the last month of last season. It was 0.2, then it was 2, then it was 7%, then it was 15%. And every day the Tigers won, you got a little bit closer and closer and closer to it being a 100% chance to make the playoffs. Obviously, they do it and they win a playoff series. Now, I fear the opposite thing is going to happen. Remember when they lost 12 of 13 games to close the first half of the season and open the second half? That, I thought, was rock bottom for this Tigers team in 2025. But unfortunately, I might be wrong. I might have been wrong. Because what the real rock bottom would be in 2025 is the day that they blow this division. They've still got a nice 6-game lead. It's the largest lead for any first-place team across Major League Baseball. So there's reason to feel comfortable. But it's not like this kind of stuff doesn't happen. The Tigers last year, like I said, 12.5 games out, win the division. There's a handful of examples from the previous year, 2023. The Yankees' 15.5 game lead in July. They go 25-35, miss the playoffs the rest of the season. The 2023 Reds, 9 games over 500. And then they go 9-15 in August. Miss the playoffs. 2023 Marlins, this is all the same year, 14-game lead, or 14 games over 500 at the break. They go 9-17 in July, barely squeak into the playoffs as a wild card, and get spanked in the first round. You have to be playing your best baseball in the second half of the season, not the first half, and I struggle to find a world where the Tigers can really put things back together. Because let's not forget, this team has lost not 1, but 2 starters for the year in Reese Olson and Jackson Jobe. Let's not forget that this is truly one of the worst bullpens there is in baseball. And yes, they added some nice additions. Kyle Finnegan's a good addition to this bullpen. Are they better than they were in the first half? Yeah. Are they good enough to win a World Series and trust over the course of the next 2 months? You tell me, because my answer would be absolutely not. Holton feels useless right now. Jack Flaherty, I know he's a starter, but what version of him you're getting on a start-to-start basis, may as well throw your hands up and flip a coin. They didn't do enough here at the deadline. And then Scott Harris has the audacity to have some of these ridiculous quotes to our guy Evan Petzold last night. I think he said these things a handful of days ago towards the deadline, but we actually got word of them now because, of course, Scott Harris isn't going to do a public press conference. He's only going to do it to select media. Petzold's one of them. And Scott Harris has the audacity to say this, quote, "It's not like we're waiting for future years where we can have a 9-game lead," Harris said last week. "That's right here, but it also might be in the future too. There's a chance that we can actually get this right and be a sustainable winner that becomes one of those powerhouse organizations. We're absolutely not there yet, but we've got a really bright future." You're not there yet. You actually had a 12.5-game lead in your division this year. It's not an illusion. You were the best team in baseball for 3 months, and you elected to not make your team any better. For you to have the audacity to say, we're not trying to win right now. We're more worried about the future. We're not there yet. What kind of message does that send to your players? He all but told them, you aren't good enough. I'm waiting for my guys to get here. Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, Jose Briseño. Those guys aren't helping this season. I seriously doubt any of those guys are going to find their way onto the roster unless this offense truly continues to not be able to hit, which, hey, at the end of the day, I guess is possible. But for you to say that out loud, what message does that send to your players that are on the team right now? Specifically Gleyber Torres, who signed a 1-year contract, and specifically Tarek Skubal, who has 1 more year left on his contract. The message it sends to players is very clear and very loud. I don't believe in you. Even though they were the best team in baseball for the entirety of the first half of the season. It makes no sense, the mindset that this front office, organization, and GM have. I'm dumbfounded by the approach that they've taken, even with the success that the players have had. AJ Hinch feels frustrated too. Listen to some of these press conferences that he has after the game. He's angry. He wishes he had more options. The bullpen is not good enough. The offense is not good enough. The starting rotation's not good enough. They have one thing that makes them stand out above other teams, and that's Tarek Skubal. Unfortunately, I have to bring this up. The division is once again open. Man, I have been sitting here. We've had a couple texters over the course of the last month say, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if this Tigers team blows this division. And I've had to just wall that off and say they're not going to do it. Last year was a historical comeback for the Tigers. They're not going to be on the other side of that 1 year later. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can still say that anymore. Rock bottom was not necessarily that 12 of 13 game losing streak. Rock bottom's going to be the day that they lose this division. And unfortunately, while they still have a 6-game lead right now, unfortunately, it feels more and more likely every day that that is going to happen. Because every day that passes, the more clear one thing becomes. This team's not elite. They're not floating above everyone else. I don't even know if they're good. They're certainly not right now. They're inconsistent. Their best player cannot hit the ball right now. None of the starters are reliable. Yeah, they might give you a nice outing once in a while, but you can't count on it if your name's not Tarek Skubal. In the bullpen, you know exactly what it is. Bad. This Tigers team is in real danger of one of the biggest Detroit collapses ever. And if they are to lose this division, it would be worse than a playoff loss. It'd be worse than last year's playoff loss in Game 5 to Cleveland. It'd be worse than any playoff loss this year, short of them getting to the World Series. Obviously, that would stink a little bit worse. But man, you look around and you think of the recent history of this Detroit city and all the teams. And the Tigers and Scott Harris taking this approach at the deadline, not just not buying and not getting active. Well, they got active, but not in any real impactful way. That is going to be the biggest gut punch to a franchise in Detroit in God knows how many years. The decision to not be aggressive is going to haunt this team. Not giving up the prospects. Scott Harris continued to say, if we would have made some of these moves that were on the table, it would have haunted us for years. No, this is going to be what haunts this Tigers organization. You had an opportunity to go make yourself the best team in baseball, to build that lead over everyone else, and you decided not to. And not only did you decide not to, you told your players straight to their face, I don't believe in this. This is fake. Loser mindset from Scott Harris. 989-837